I am taking a brand new chess.com account all the way from 1000 trading to 2000 trading, and in this video I will teach you some easy strategies you can use to win more chess games. To demonstrate this, let's play some games. So we are playing with the black pieces. Very interesting, our opponent is playing knight to f3 rated 1120, we are currently also 1110. This is an opening that I personally have never studied how to play against as black, but I honestly believe that for your black opening repertoire, you don't need to prepare against what I call more unorthodox or unpopular openings. What you can always do is play a very simple setup. So what I'm thinking is just how can I develop pieces and how can I castle. But I do have to watch out that I don't lock in my own bishop, although it also might not be the biggest problem because in the future we can always use it here. So I am just going to go for a very simple setup, just developing pieces, putting pawns in the center and castling. And honestly, I use the same strategy basically against all openings, especially at this level. You shouldn't rely on trying to memorize any opening variations. Instead, we are just going to try and play very simple, solid chess. Alright, so a bunch of things are already going on, and this is a very interesting position to calculate from. So what I generally do in the middle game is I try to just focus on optimizing my pieces, but right here we do have to watch out a little bit because the light squared bishop is already aiming at these pawns and white is trying to put a lot of pressure in the center. So we will have to do some calculation. I am thinking that there are a couple of plans here. There might be variations in which we push the pawns, but that would be dropping a pawn. This would be weakening the center. We could also let it be, or I think we could also in some lines, for example, take. But we do have to watch out that we don't get cramped in the center. So probably it's best to let the center rest for now and look at how we can develop some extra pieces. So I am just going to play knight to d7 here, a very simple developing move. And I think my opponent has prepared some line. They are playing rather quickly, basically telling me that they want to push, so we are trying to prevent them to push. Let's see if they have prepared anything. And the funny thing is, my opponent is actually using a strategy I explained in one of the previous videos, which is just the light square control strategy, attacking all the light squares and yeah, trying to push on the queen side. Now I have to counter this from the black side, which I have to say is a little bit less fun than playing it from the white side. So I'm just focused on piece improvement basically, and if we can hinder this bishop, that's always a big plus. I'm seeing what we want to do. We want to develop pieces, we want to improve pieces, but it's not easy to beat my own strategies. Don't know if this is a subscriber or just somebody who studied this opening elsewhere. So how can I improve my pieces? I was thinking about grabbing this, but I am always opening up the diagonal. This is also weakening. But it's also fine, probably for now, to play pawn here and then bishop here. Because if we can get what I call a counter fianchetto, it's basically going to be fine anyways. And everything is still protected. But it's a good strategy by white, basically just attacking all the light squares. If you don't know about this strategy, you should definitely check out my previous videos in which I explain how to play a similar setup as well. But I'm trying to do my very best here to see if we can counter it. And the best counter for black is to basically attack here with e5, e4. That is the plan. Here I don't want to capture this way because I would be opening up a square for the knight. So I think we can either take with the knight, which keeps everything solid, also opens up this. Or we can take with this pawn. But we are somewhat creating troubles for ourselves. So I think I'm going to take the most flexible option, taking with the knight. And in general, we don't have to really do anything spectacular. I think as long as we just play normal moves, solid moves, we put the pawns in the center, everything will probably be fine. We do still have some weaknesses here. For example, this and this is both a little bit weak, but this one is already protected 3 times. This one has to be protected a little bit more. This is something that Nimzovich used to call overprotection. Basically, if you see that you might have a weakness or even a strength, you try to protect it more than it needs to be protected. Just so you never run in trouble. But they are going for the full exchange. We can take this way or we can take this way. This will lead to a more symmetric, wow, symmetric structure. Almost can't talk anymore. More symmetric, but I personally really like symmetric structures, so I'm gonna go for this. With symmetric, I of course mean our pawns are basically almost a mirror image. Okay. So let's see, he is still trying to put his knight in there, which we can always just prevent, but he can then attack our queen. So probably we will have to allow him to temporarily place a knight there. For example, rook c1, knight here, bishop back, and then bishop here. Yeah. I think everything is still fine, but he is playing some great chess for a 1100 player. This is very great chess. So I'm just making sure the knight cannot really do any damage anywhere. This also doesn't work because we have this push. And now this knight is a very strong piece. We want to eliminate this as quickly as possible. So I'm just going to throw our bishop at it. The bishop was not really doing anything anyway, so that's a smart strategy. We also control the only open file. We also have a very active bishop, even though it looks like it's a bit passively placed, it's well placed. And this knight is also very flexible. I was actually thinking of doing a similar strategy as he is doing on this side of the board, but I'm going to eliminate the knight first. And the advantage we have is we actually have a knight here that cannot be captured, while his knight can be captured. I don't know if his strategy is just to try and repeat moves. It almost looks like it. Like they go here, we go there, but I'm not going to repeat moves. I'm going to do it once. And then I will attack it. Yeah. We want to eliminate his knight. It's an annoying piece. It's his best piece in the position. And then, as soon as we eliminate his strongest piece, we basically want to increase the power of our pieces. That is the plan. And also talk a little bit less and play a little bit more quickly. I think I might have even misplayed the opening a little bit by talking too much, which is my biggest weakness in this entire series. Always talking too much, explaining too much, and then playing a little bit shaky sometimes. Yeah, I think everything is still fine. I am gonna eliminate the knight. It's a strong piece. I do have to watch out I don't help him open up the bishop. So I was thinking of just attacking the pawn. And this also attacks the weakness. If he trades, we are gonna get an isolated queen pawn though. So unless if we just... No, we cannot ignore it. An isolated queen's pawn is also not what I want. I am gonna play this way. And if he pushes, I'm actually really happy. We just go back. And if he takes, that's also fine. This is an isolated queen's pawn, but we can also take with the knight and keep everything solid. And I just have to move the rook over. Because you don't want to allow a pin like this to be there for too long. And now he has a weakness here on the d3 square and also doubled pawns. And we don't have a weakness. So that's, my opponent is playing very well, I have to say, for 1100. Or maybe I missed some opportunities, but I think they are playing well. But they did damage their structure severely already. You can see this is a very terrible pawn structure. And as long as we just keep exchanging pieces and we don't blunder anything, yeah, these pawns are gonna collapse in the endgame anyways. It's impossible, literally impossible to defend all of this. So, yeah, I knew he was gonna do this. It honestly doesn't matter. I just have to move my rook. And I think then we are perfectly fine. And now I can even move my knight and attack the weakness. If he goes for some exchanges on the c file, that's not good for him because still he has all of the pawn weaknesses. So I really don't know if white even has a plan in this position, because I feel like everything will lose eventually. I can activate my knight, he can always trade it. I am giving him this square for the bishop, so I have to be a little bit careful about that. I can also keep my knight here for longer, but I don't really see a reason why. I think I'm gonna go for this line, but I am giving him a beautiful square for the bishop, so he is getting this square. If he trades, and then takes this square, but we also have a nice bishop and 2 open files, so looks fine. I'm already gonna pre-move this. We need to save some time and play a little bit more quickly. And before I pre-move, actually, yeah, I was gonna say before I pre-move, I even think there was a better plan to play the queen out and then, yeah, but I already pre-moved. Because then we can maybe exchange the queens, and without the queens it's gonna be easier. But I was a little bit too quick. Okay. I'm thinking here, because if I just keep talking, this will be a difficult game. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with this move, but I have to see if we can find a simple plan. Maybe just rook c5, but he's probably gonna play the bishop here anyways. But I was thinking maybe rook c5 is an interesting move, because otherwise we basically lose the open file. If we play rook c5, at least we still have a rook on this open file. Also, of course, doubling rook and queen, but the fact that my queen is leading is a little bit of a problem. I don't know why he is thinking so long. I mean, he has to just... If he does this, I am getting an extra pin, so... I'm gonna check with the game review as well. I think this was a very interesting game. So he has a very strong square for the bishop. There's nothing I can do about it, but I can activate my rook outside of the pawn chain and attack the weakness. Basically, this is gonna force him into that line. And then I can activate my rook, and I don't see the immediate plan yet. We are gonna see if he makes a mistake or if something else happens. Still, we do have the better structure, but the question is, how do we attack it? Because this weakness will be protected, this weakness is protected twice, and this weakness is hard to attack. I was actually thinking that maybe in some line even getting a rook here would be nice, but of course the bishop is preventing that. Because if we could start pushing, maybe we can make something happen. And one line, maybe I would also be willing to sacrifice my rook for that bishop and the pawn, because then I think that might even just be the plan, to sacrifice. Because I get 4 points for 4.5, and then I get 2 pawns that can start running and everything will collapse here. But let's see if he even finds this move. But it's a very well played game, I think, by my opponent. For 1100, he is playing a good game. I mean, we're not at material and we are down on the clock, so... Well played. I think we might even have some tactics at one point, with maybe playing something. Some a4 distracting. Yeah, I think even in general, maybe just a4, distract the queen, take this pawn. There might be some tactic there. Okay. I am just gonna play the quick move. Just put a little bit of pressure. And keep everything on the dark squares, because then his light squared bishop doesn't do anything. Also probably create this hole, the dark squared hole, I think is the best one. Because if I create a light squared hole, he might always block it with the bishop. So maybe g6. Yeah, that's a logical move. I am just gonna create this. Yep, so now we are in the end game. The question is, how can we force a win here? I think we might have to sack on the bishop, honestly. For example, this, just sack on the bishop. I am just gonna prepare, we are gonna see. Don't know if I will actually go for it, but might be the best plan. Because this bishop is quite strong. But even if I sack, there's no immediate plan. Well, the good thing is if I sack, I do get to move this bishop here and I can attack. Okay. So he is playing the bishop here because he doesn't want me to sack. F5 is very dangerous. We are weakening this. But he is also dropping a pawn. So I think we just take the pawn. I understand that he didn't want the sacrifice to happen, but he's also just giving away a free pawn. Also, there might be some line where we... yep. Basically, we just got rid of the bishop's outpost square. Now I want to see if I can double up, and now this will be an easy endgame. So he completely lost the game the moment he moved the bishop, I think. Yep, I have to play a little bit more quickly. I'm just gonna double up. Double up, attack the weaknesses. Now this should be fine. We are up a pawn as well. But this was, I think, a good game from him until he moved the bishop. I will do some quick analysis because I think we might have missed some opportunities. I'm not sure what's most interesting. I'm actually gonna go for this. Because I do think this is nice since he's always in a defensive posture. He always has to defend this. And we might just get to start rolling with the pawns. Especially this pawn. Let's see. And if we can create a passed pawn here, that's going to make the endgame easy. But he played a very good game. Now he is in a little bit of time trouble as well. Yep. I think we can just start pushing pawns. Not sure about this move. Also, he dropped this check. I didn't play it immediately, but we have this check. And there's actually no follow-up, so... Or at least not a follow-up that I see. This is not the best structure, but maybe... I'm actually gonna play this first. Yeah. I think we will be able to promote or force him to give away material. Yeah. But time is ticking also, so... but it doesn't help. The problem is that we can still promote. But with 37 seconds, I will have to play quickly. That's also funny. We can just basically keep the thread. All right, that's the game. We were winning anyways, but I think he played a very good game. We are gonna do a engine analysis on this one for sure. I want to know if we missed anything in this game. All right, so I think we actually played a very good game. As you can see, I had a 90, or maybe you cannot see because of the face cam, but I had a 96.6 opening accuracy, 85% middle game, and a 98% end game for a total of almost 90% accuracy with only 3 inaccuracies. So he played a damn strong game. Probably one of, I think the strongest 1100 player I have ever played. Other than that, I think our opening strategies were fine. He basically used the light square strategy from my previous video, which I completely love. It was fun to try and play against this from the black side for once. All of these exchanges were great. I'm only gonna focus if there was any key moment. Yeah, I was thinking maybe bishop c5 here as a little bit more of an aggressive alternative move. But this is fine, this is fine. Taking the knight is fine. And here apparently I have to see with the analysis, but it is a little bit better to take the pawn. Alright, I see, because of course at the end of the day we are just grabbing the open file. While with my variation I think they do have the e5, and at first I thought e5 is fine, but then I was calculating a little bit more and then I realized, let's say I move my knight, now they have this. And we can fight back against the structure. Yeah, but there was also maybe no reason to give him the space. That is why this was a mistake by him. Because I basically gave him an opportunity. This move doesn't do anything. Yep, this plan, and I was thinking here, alright, the engine says this is the best move that I played. I was thinking that I maybe should have gone for queen check, king moves over, and then taking it with the queen, because most likely, yeah, this was going to be an easier endgame with the queens of the board. So I actually would have played that if I had the opportunity. Yeah, and then I think this was an excellent move. Rook d8, g6, this. And also funny, I was thinking, I'm not even sure if this is ever even the right plan. It's basically a normal move, the engine says. It's not a brilliant move, it's also not a mistake. So we could have always given away the bishop. But then the moment he played this, as you have seen, basically the entire endgame collapsed. And here apparently I just have to push f5 because the bishop is stuck. And we can just win the bishop. I didn't calculate that. I was basically already a little bit low on time and mainly focused on how to convert this endgame. Yeah, b4, I think a4 was more clean. b4, it's like freezing your own pawns. Yeah, and then this, I think here if he wanted to play on, he just had to move the queen, and this is of course a losing endgame. Alright, that's it for this video.